Everybody, so we are cooking with Sammy today. We are going to learn how to make salsa verde from scratch today. It's a very simple ingredient thing. What you're going to need is some tomatillos. These are already prepped, so normally they have a husk on them. And what you do is you take that husk off, you wash them really well. I just have them already ready to go. We're going to need one onion, a small onion, a couple of garlic cloves. Mine are already peeled, again, ready to go. A lime, and then a serrano, and a jalapeno pepper. Now you can do 2 jalapenos or 2 serrano peppers. It's really up to you and what you want, but that's pretty much what we're gonna start off with. So what you wanna do is you wanna put your oven on broil. So mine is set to broil right now. You are going to see that I have a foil-lined baking sheet also ready to go. That is what I'm gonna put my tomatillos on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut my tomatillos in half, and then I'm going to place them face down, so this way, on my foil. I'm gonna do that for all of these tomatillos. Just in half and on the baking sheet. Now, when this goes in the oven, it's going to be there for 5 to 7 minutes. You just want to see the tomatillos kind of a little bit burnt, bubbly at the top. They'll be a little bit browned. And I've just got 9 tomatillos here. That's just what I got at the farmer's market. That was how many was in the bucket. It's probably about a pound, pound and a half of tomatillos. It's all you need. And once those are done and ready, wash my hands here. All the cleaning and prep that goes with cooking. There'll be lots of hand washing today because I'll also be touching some hot peppers. And I don't want to touch my eyeballs with hot peppers. But your baking sheet is gonna look something like this. And now I'm just gonna pop some garlic cloves onto my baking sheet. You guys might fall, there we go. And just kind of place them so that they get brown, because those are also gonna go into my food processor, which I also have out, ready to go. Because while these are going into the broiler, I am going to be chopping up onions and everything else that's going to go into this food processor. Now, you can add some cilantro. I am one of those people that I don't like cilantro, or I only like it in very small amounts. The recipe does call for a half a cup of the stems and leaves of a cilantro plant, fresh. So if that is something that you like, definitely add that in. Otherwise, I'm gonna see if my oven is ready. I don't know. I haven't actually used the broil function on this oven yet, so I don't know if it's gonna beep at me or not. But you know what? I'm just gonna put that in now and see how it looks in about 5 minutes. You wanna place it so it's about 6 inches away from that top broiler. Now from there, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna chop up my onion, just kind of a light chop, because the food processor is gonna do most of the work for me. So I am just gonna cut off the top and the bottom of my onion. And then what I do is I do a nice half, and then I'll peel off that top layer of onion that we don't like to use, that thinner piece. And I'll just, again, light chop this. And you can do half an onion, you could do a quarter of an onion, you could do a full onion. Again, it is a small onion that we're working with. But if you're not really a huge onion person, you can kind of make this to taste, which is nice. So again, I'm just gonna kind of rough chop this. Because my food processor is gonna do most of the work, and I'm just sticking that right into my food processor from that rough chop. And it's also nice, it's a pretty quick recipe. It doesn't really take that long. All right, onion is in there. I'm gonna cut my lime. Remember, you want to roll out your limes first. And I'm just gonna do the juice of 1 lime into my food processor. Oh, wrong way. There we go. And you can always do more than 1 lime. Again, it is to taste, but I am only going to use 1 lime. All right, that is all juiced. Again, we clean up as we go here. Like I said, lots of hand washing today. So right now in my blender, or my food processor, I've got my onion, I've got my lime juice. I'm gonna add just a little bit of salt in here. And yes, I do have an electric salt grinder because I don't like to do that. I am lazy. So that's that sound that you're hearing is the grinder grinding my salt up for me. I don't want it super salty, so that's about good for me. And you could spice it up with pepper as well, but because we are using hot peppers, you don't necessarily need to. I was gonna go ahead and take a quick peek in the oven. They're still very, very green in there. So I'm gonna chop up my jalapeno first and then my serrano. You don't want the seeds unless you do. And if you do want the seeds, that's fine. It's just gonna be a spicier Salsa Verde. So it just depends on what you're looking for. Again, I'm throwing them right into, so you cut off the butt and then you're gonna cut off the top. That top can go into your compost or wherever. And then from there, I'm going to put it right upright, vertical. I'm going to cut straight down the middle. It's gonna look like this, so it's easier for me to get those seeds out in one quick swoop. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my knife that's semi-sharp, but not really, and I am just julienning up at the top to kind of get those seeds and putting them right directly into my trash. Again, we love a good, quick cleanup so that we're not doing this forever and then having to clean up after. Again, I'm still working. You just can't really see me, but I am cleaning out my jalapenos. I wish there was a better way to do this, not over a trash, but there's really not. Just be careful. Again, seeds are gonna be hot. Make sure that you're washing your hands throughout this process with super hot water to make sure that you're not getting any of those seeds in your eyes. All right, so we got one nice hollowed out jalapeno. Looking like so. I'm gonna do the same thing to this guy. Getting all those seeds out. Sometimes it's easier to start from the bottom than it is from the top, but it really just depends on how you're feeling today. I did this one from the bottom, and that was a little bit quicker than doing it from the top. And then from there, all I'm gonna do is wash my knife real quick. So I got some seeds on it, and again, I don't want those seeds. And I am just going to cut and julienne, so into thin strips, and I'm gonna rough chop this jalapeno. And then once that's rough chopped, I'm just putting it into my food processor. And yes, there is a better way to do this without your hands, but not everybody has a bread, kind of like, it's a pastry, like square thing. I have one if I can find it, but looks like this, where you scoop. I'm just not gonna use that. Okay, so my broiler is ready to go, although my tomatillos and garlic have been in the broiler for a few minutes now, so I'm still gonna give it another 5 minutes now that it's up at temp and see what's going on while I'm still chopping up my peppers here, which is nice because while it's in the broiler, you don't have to like super watch it. I know that because broiling can really, really quickly burn things. A lot of people like to watch the broiler. You don't need to because we're timing it, right? About 5 to 7 minutes. And again, I'm gonna do the same thing with my serrano pepper. So I'm cutting off the butt, cutting off the top. Because that pepper is so small, I do not want the butt because it's just gonna give me seeds. And again, I'm gonna cut vertically down that serrano pepper and do the same exact thing. It's got seeds on the inside. I'm going to bring that right to my trash. And I'm going to put the seeds into my trash can. Maybe, if it lets me do it. I will tell you, I don't have the best knives, so sometimes this process is a little bit longer than it should be, but we are okay. Get all those seeds out. Again, we don't want the seeds unless you want to make it spicier, but you don't need them. Whew, this one's a little bit hotter than the other one. You can smell it. And once I'm done chopping these up, I'm gonna wash my hands because again, spicy things touching on the face, we don't want to feel like our face is on fire when the seeds are where it's at when it comes to the spice. And my hands have been all over these seeds. The pepper itself should not be too spicy. You'll get like a nice heat, but it's not gonna be anything extreme. And again, I'm gonna julienne this. 3 for each. And then I am going to just rough chop. And then into my food processor it goes. I also try to keep one hand for pepper, so it's my right hand because I'm left-handed, for chopping. So that way both of my hands don't end up being spicy. I'm gonna go ahead and check my tomatillos. They are starting to brown a little bit on the top, but we still got about 2.5 minutes. I'm gonna wash my hands. You want to wash them well. And I only want them to smell like the soap that I'm using. Otherwise, I'm going to wash them again. All right. We got about 1.5 minutes. I'm gonna check on those tomatillos, see if they're up to where they need to be looking like. I do go by how they look, not by how much time goes into this. So we'll see once we're there. Little spicy smelling, not terrible, but I'll know not to take my contacts out with this hand. Then obviously I'll be washing my hands a lot more. All right, those garlics are starting to brown. We got some of those tomatillos starting to brown. Again, it's gonna take a little bit of time. That's why it says 5 to 7 minutes. And then what I have already ready to go is my jar that I'm going to put this salsa verde in. Ready and roaring to go. And now we wait. This is the fun part about cooking, is me coming up with ad-libs to tell you while we wait for things to cook. I'm hoping in about 1.5 minutes, they'll be done. Because like I said, I wanted to wait 5 minutes. It'll be 5 minutes and about 30 seconds, but they are not done yet. However, with broiling, it can be done very, very quickly. So this is gonna be the point where I'm checking it about every 30 seconds to see what it's looking like. And then once they are done, I'll show you what they're supposed to look like. And then we're gonna stick them in my very loud, very old Ninja food processor that still works like a charm, and I love it. And then we will make this salsa verde. All right, we got some good bruising in the back. On about just 2 or 3 of those tomatillos, we already got that bruising. So I'm just waiting a little bit longer. Again, hopefully about another 45 seconds and they should be done. My broil's at 525 degrees, so that's just what it's set to. I believe it can be set higher on this oven. Again, I don't know. I haven't used this oven that often except for to like regularly cook things. So I'm not too positive on that. But normally it's whatever broil is for your oven is what you'll want it at. And check again in about 20 seconds. It's all a waiting game. So I'm gonna grab my handy dandy oven mitts and just get ready to just about take those out. Oh, those are bruising up real quickly. Those are looking so good. I'm gonna give them just another 30 seconds and I might take them off a broil and just let them sit in there, but they are bruising so nicely. I have a bruise on almost all of them except for about 2 or 3. So like I said, it goes by very quickly. Before there was 2, now it's all but 2 in the course of less than a minute. So that's pretty cool. And you don't want them to get like too burnt, but they will bubble up and that's fine. I'm gonna just go ahead and cancel that broil, leave them in there for another 20 seconds. That's gonna put me right at 7 minutes. And get my tongs ready to pick them up. Throw it in. You will throw it into this a little bit warm. I'm just gonna, you might hear my fan. And into the oven we go. Woo. Oh, these smell so good. All right, so you can see through the steam. I'm gonna bring it over here. So this is what your tomatillos are gonna look like along with that garlic. And I am just gonna take my garlic right now. I'm gonna throw that right in to my blender. Because you can use a blender or a food processor. I just happen to have a food processor. My blender attachment actually broke, so this is what I use. And I'm just gonna stick those again nice and hot into my food processor. They are looking nice and juicy and delicious. See that steam coming up from my food processor for how hot these tomatillos are. Woo! Dropping things. You want to try not to squeeze them too hard because you want those juices that are inside of that type of tomato. This should come out to a nice color green. It would be more green if I liked cilantro. Unfortunately, again, I don't. So, going into my sink. All right. So what we're gonna do now, turn my fan off. It's gonna get a little loud. I am going to cover up my food processor and I'm gonna pulse it. So now you can see it's kind of turning into a takes a bit for it to calm down. It's not quite the consistency I want yet, so I'm actually gonna put this on crush. I let that go for about a minute here. Gives me about this much salsa. It's still warm, but it is, or should be at least, about the consistency that I want. So I'm just gonna open this up. Smells pretty good, smells spicy. Woo! All right, so it looks like we still got some skins in here. So I am gonna let that go just a little bit longer. So that's why you also wanna open up the food processor. Again, you don't really go for time. I'm gonna put it on crush again. And again, once it stops, I'm gonna open it up, look inside, see if it's to my liking. Again, your salsa verde is gonna be a thinner salsa. It's more picante. I just wanna make sure that there's not a ton of skins in here. It should be pretty soupy, I guess would be what I'm looking for. It's pretty soupy. Like I said, I'm still seeing some skins in here, but honestly, other than that, it's pretty soupy. So if you want to just take those skins out, that's fine. It could have been one that was just a little more, not undercooked, but just one with a little bit more fiber. I'm just gonna go ahead and rinse this off because I am gonna be using it later for a different recipe that I won't be showing y'all. So I'm gonna take my lovely tomatillo sauce. It's nice and green. I don't know if you can tell in this lighting, but it's a super nice green consistency. There we go. Nice and green. Still steamy. I'm gonna put it in the fridge. We're gonna pour it into our jar. And I have the type of food processor that I could take this out without anything falling out the bottom. Not everyone has that. So make sure to check your food processor before you take that part out. And then I am just going to pour this right on into my glass jar, hopefully without spilling. We'll see how it goes. Whew. All right. Again, I'm just gonna rinse this out real quick here. Especially since we're dealing with hot peppers. Alrighty, and now we have our tomatillo salsa verde sauce. I'm gonna cap it. I'm gonna leave it slightly loose so that it doesn't get like super air bubbly. I'm gonna stick this in my fridge, and that is how you make salsa verde. And like my fridge is super full. That is how you make a salsa verde.